As the basketball season comes to an end, Syracuse fans now shift their focus to the lacrosse field, where the #1 ranked Orange are getting ready to make that final push towards their 12th national title. The Orange are focused to play on Memorial Day weekend this year, and since they lost to Army last year in the playoffs, the Orange have won 8 straight games, including wins against Virginia, Georgetown in overtime, Johns Hopkins in overtime, and defending national champion Duke. While the 11-time national champs are eager to get back to the playoffs, players are taking this year's run for number 12 one game at a time.
Oswego has the opportunity to do something that they have not done in 4 years, and that is possibly take points from Plattsburgh during the regular season and the postseason. So essentially not lose to Plattsburgh at all in the entire season. And you know, for a team that's had their ups and downs, a really young squad, Ed Gosick would have to be really proud of his team if they could pull something like that off.
Chris, as we were kind of discussing in the press box earlier today, you know this is a really important game, or important weekend for both of these teams. Oswego coming into the weekend, a game up on Elmira. They dropped yesterday's game 5-2. Just talk about real quick about how big of a win that was for Elmira and how big of a loss it was for Oswego.
Jamesville DeWitt High School is located just outside the city of Syracuse. But when Syracuse basketball coaches recruit high school players, JD is right in Syracuse's backyard. The Red Ram basketball coach Bob McKinney has produced Syracuse-bound players Andy Rounds and Brandon Trish. Now he's producing arguably his most dominant player. Junior big man Dawan Coleman is one of the top recruits not only in New York State, but in the entire country. Coleman has averaged 22 points and 15 rebounds in his junior year, and nearly every powerhouse team is recruiting him. Several recruiting sources have stated that Coleman's top 2 schools are Syracuse and Kentucky, and while the recruiting process can take its toll on a player, Coleman says he won't let the entire process distract his senior season.
Towards the end of the period after the Montagna goal, I looked over to the bench and head coach Jeff Meredith of the Blue Devils looked really calm and poised. Seeing all the players' faces going into the locker room, they looked really content, perfectly fine. They didn't look like they were under any pressure or back against the wall type of mentality whatsoever. So in the second period, when they come back out, you should expect that early first period mentality, that same physicality that the Blue Devils were showing against the Lakers. And the Blue Devils really got their opportunities during that period, especially on the power play at the very end of the period after the Galati boarding penalty. So this should be a really interesting second period. We'll send it back to the Perts with Chris, Dan, and Larry. Guys?
The game of basketball is usually a game between 2 opponents where the main objective is winning. But 2 weeks ago, the game between the CNY Central team against the local ESPN radio team was more than just winning a game. It was about raising money for a great cause. Back on February 26th, the 2 teams faced off in a charity event at Lafayette High School. The CNY Central team featured anchors Nico Tamarian, Matt Mulcahy, and Matt Stevens. All of the proceeds that were made were donated to the Galisanos Children's Hospital and the family of Kristen Carrot, who has been diagnosed with ALS. Both teams were very competitive, but the more important part of the game was the reason behind it.
There to catch it. Lamoureux finds Ashley Ryan. Ryan's going to take a wrist shot, gets deflected, and she scores. Ashton Hogan off of the assist from Ashley Ryan. And 8:14 left in the second period on the power play. Elmira takes the early 1-0 lead. Tori Travato starting to inch her way towards that bench just a little bit closer. Borson making a great defensive play right there. Jarvis trying to get the puck as we approach 1 minute. Jarvis gonna take a shot and she scores! Leslie Jarvis with a goal with exactly 1 minute remaining in the third period. And better late than never, Oswego State ties this game up.